So it's cool though. I mean, hopefully next time I go back out there, everything be open. I can be able to explore a little more than usual.
Yeah, I just now came back to the United States because of COVID, but I preferred living in Asia. I had a really good time. I lived in Myanmar.
Okay, yeah, that's what's up. All right. Wait, where's that at exactly though?
Myanmar's right underneath Thailand. So it's an
Oh,
hour
okay.
flight. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I've been to Thailand once. I was like, I didn't go to the land itself. I was like pretty much off the coast of Phuket. And that area looked pretty nice. Just like looking at off the coast, you can see the statue, the Buddha statue from on top with the binoculars, stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty nice. Also been to Singapore, actually set foot on there. It's very clean. Like you can literally go out like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and nothing bad will happen. Like they're real strict with their rules over there.
Yeah. In Myanmar, they were so relaxed about everything because of their religion
Yeah.
that they're really not taking COVID very seriously. So it's very
Yeah.
different compared to here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry about that. I was on mute. All right. Hey, Jay, do we have the Facebook Live? You got that queued up?
Yep, I'm queuing it up right now. We are live
Okay.
on Facebook. Yep.
Well,
Yep, we are live on Facebook on the NSBE entrepreneurship page. I just put it on that one.
okay. Well, all right. We'll get it rolling in. We're already starting to record. So, thank you. If you guys don't want to be recorded or don't want to participate, feel free to drop off. Or obviously, you can, turn off your camera. But we encourage active participation and seeing everyone's beautiful faces. So yeah, welcome to our stock talk, the NSBE Entrepreneurship Group, the B.E.L.L Group. We're hosting now, which will probably be just a monthly stock talk. So it gives us more time to gather up our questions and different things like that. So without further ado, we wanted to introduce our special host, guest, stock guru. Miss Riley, I know, right? Don't take that one. But Miss Ryland is going to kind of help us lead up our stock talk. She spends a lot of time through her company, the Dream Farmer, teaching stock, talking about stocks. She has a ebook right now. I'll let her continue the introduction, but I'll turn it over to you. She'll be talking about IPOs, and then we'll open up the floor to just other conversations, questions about stocks. So without further ado, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Jayton, for this opportunity. Hello, everybody. My name is Rylan. I am the CEO of Dream Farmer Inc. And I've been an entrepreneur almost all of my life, and it wasn't really until more recently that I became super active in investing instead of just relying on a 401k and my job just doing the investing for me. So one of the things that I have been coming across is really focusing on the basics. I became a part of an active trading community, and I found that fear of missing out is real, and you can be chasing trends and looking at stocks that you think are hot, but when you're looking at your overall investment strategy, chasing is just not the answer. Having emotions while you're investing is just not the answer. So for me as an investor, I've been really just trying to master and understand the basics of, the stock market, how to trade as an investor, long-term and short-term, some very basic terminology, looking at a lot of historical data with not just in the New York Stock Exchange, but with other exchanges that have developed since the 1300s, 1600s and whatnot. So I've just been doing a lot of studying. So I really wanted to come today and share with you some of the things that I have learned about IPOs. Now, just as a disclaimer, I am not an expert. I am not a financial expert. I am not licensed at any financial capacity. I only know what I know through my own research, and I don't necessarily advise anybody about anything when I'm talking about stocks or the stock market or anything like that. This is all purely educational. And even for me, I don't know everything. I don't know a lot about IPOs, but I do know the basics, how it started, why it started, where the regulation came from, and what a company needs to go through to be able to go through the IPO process, and some of the benefits of it as well. Now, September is a really big month for IPOs this year. So there's a lot that's going on right now. If you guys have noticed, Snowflake has just recently came out, and that was a really big anticipated IPO that is backed by Warren Buffett as well as Salesforce. But before we dive a little bit into that, I just kind of went back to the basics. Let's talk about what an IPO is. All right. An IPO stands for initial public offering. And it's when a private company decides that they want to publicly sell their securities, whether it's an existing security that they have or a new offering. So back in 1929 is when we had a stock market crash. And that particular stock market crash caused a lot of things. One, it caused the Great Depression, which was massive. That lasted for about 10 years till about 1939. And it also caused the Securities Act of 1933. And it was that year is when they started to impose regulations on companies offering securities. And so what they did is that they required for companies, private companies, to go through a registration process. Now, it's completely evolved since then, as well as the security, as well as the SEC. But this was kind of where the US started regulating these IPOs. Now, how does an IPO work, right? So if I was a company, what is the kind of the process that I would need to go through? Now, just as far as basic terms, a company will need to start with going to look at the investment bank, okay? The investment bank is going to provide all of the underwriting services that the company needs to be able to file for the IPO with the SEC. Now, once the bank is selected, the bank has a lot of homework that they need to do. They need to look into all of the financial records. They need to look at everything that the company, as far as finances and accountings, they need to look at all of their books. And they need to take all of the market factors. They also need to take, what else? They need to take, they're just like, they're looking at the whole spectrum of this company going public. And once they go through all of that, they fill out all of the forms, and then they file for the IPO with the SEC. Now, once the SEC is approved of that particular registration, they need to still go through a process of creating a POP, which is a public offering price. So with that approval, they need to go through and look at all their finances. They need to test the market, and they need to see at what price they need to put the offer out for their shares. And they also have to keep in mind how much they want to raise, because they don't necessarily want to put an offer out that's already at a valuation that, where there's no room for growth. So a lot of the times the initial POP is going to be undervalued. And so once they do that, and honestly, this process can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, sometimes longer, depending on what kind of issues the company is going through. After that, the effective date that they filed for, that they have determined with the underwriters, they pretty much go public that day. And after the first initial day, the underwriters or the bank, what they do is they try to stabilize the shares. And by doing that, they basically have a short period of time to be able to manipulate the share prices, basically, which is actually illegal, but since it's an IPO, it's acceptable. So during this time, they're manipulating the market, before, things get stabilized. So they're looking at, the performance on the first day, whether it was really well, did they capture any gains? Were they able to raise the money that they needed to raise? So they're looking at those things. Now, after the first day, they still have 25 days in total after the initial first day of trading before the IPO starts to transition into what's called market competition. Now, in this market competition, this means that investors don't need to no longer look at the what is it called? It's called the it starts with a P. Hold on, let me find it. Properties. Why am I having an issue with this?
Tongue tied.
Yes, I am very tongue tied, and I thought I wrote down the word. So hold on one second. Say that again.
Prospectus.
Yes, the prospectus. The prospectus. There we go. My apologies. So the investors won't need to rely on the prospectus and the disclosures through the SEC's Edgar search. They can now, after those 25 days, they can start relying on the market indicators and things of that nature to make their decisions on whether it's a good investment or not. So, so that's kind of the process that a company will need to go through to be able to publicly trade. And like I said, it really all depends on the company that is trading. Will depend on how long it takes, but an average is about 3 to 6 months. Now, I wanted to kind of break all of this down to talk about, you know, what it looks like for an IPO to be successful and unsuccessful, because there are cases where an IPO is just unsuccessful at launch. And to also remind yourself, when you think about IPOs is kind of like a launch party for the company that is releasing their shares to the public. So there's a lot of hype that is created around IPOs, especially with Uber. So Uber is a great example of an IPO that was unsuccessful. It was completely hyped. A lot of people thought it was going to go through the roof, but it actually fell about 7% when it opened, the day that it opened in 2019, I believe in May. And it opened at $45 a share. But if you look at it right now, today, Uber is currently at $37 a share. So that was not successful. So I don't know what Uber is going to do, but that's just kind of an example of, you know, how an IPO can really go against the company's bottom line. Another example is like WeWork. WeWork is a co-working space that tried to put an IPO out, I believe, the same year that Uber put theirs out in 2019. And they didn't get a chance to put out their IPO because they had some issues with the CEO. Was somebody raising their hand? Was that noise or no? Okay, I don't see no hands. And so
it's probably somebody coming aboard.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So WeWork had an issue with their CEO when SoftBank ended up having to purchase WeWork. They parted ways with the CEO, and they gave him like $1 billion something to part ways. And they just been trying to build up from there, but they never were able to go through the IPO process because a lot of the things that were happening there. But an example of a successful IPO, one which is I was really excited to talk about tonight, which is what made me want to talk about IPOs, was Snowflake. I didn't really know too much about Snowflake. Snowflake is a cloud platform. It's a big data for big data, and it was super anticipated. It released on Wednesday. There was 111% gain for the company, so they were able to raise double what they initially offered. So that IPO launch was super successful. But what I found interesting is that Snowflake might be a big contender to Amazon. And right now, I believe it closed like around $224 per share, but it went up to about $250, a little bit higher than that today. And so I'm looking at the chat. Yeah, so I was really excited about seeing how Snowflake was working. and how it was going to be released. And one of the things that I have been working on is really just studying and watching and paying attention. I haven't really been, I put my positions in on August, and I haven't really been trading since then, but I have been watching everything. And so seeing Snowflake being supported by Warren Buffett and Salesforce in a major way, because they have deals for 200 million in shares. And then also Moderna is CRM. CRM is also a part of the deals with Snowflake as well. And they are the only cloud computing company that can compete with Amazon because they can support AI programs in addition to other big data type of programs. And so that's kind of like what's on my watch list when it comes to IPOs. But that's neither here or there. You can watch it or not. But I wanted to show you how you guys can go about getting into IPOs. If you want to invest in IPOs, there is a specific way where you can invest in it before it hits the market. Or you can invest it after it hits the market, but you can get access to their financials and all of that information on the SEC.gov site through their Edgar research. So I just kind of wanted to share those things with you. So the first thing that I wanted to share, and I'm going to take some questions and I'm going to open up the ground for everybody to kind of converse about this. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I know some of you guys have experience in investing in IPOs and watching them and observing them yourself. But I wanted to share that you can actually locate an IPO calendar. And I use MarketWatch's IPO calendar, so I'm going to put it in the chat box. So if you want to go to the chat box and look at that link, IPO calendar is just a calendar of when all of the upcoming IPOs are about to come out. It also gives you some of the most recent ones that have been priced. And then it also gives you some future IPOs that are going to be coming out in the near future that are already in the process. And so I really thought that this was a great tool to use when you are trying to look at a long-term investment, especially right now as things are getting a little crazy as we get towards the end of the year with the vaccine, people waiting on the vaccine. People are kind of anxious to see what the market is going to be like next year as it's still trying to recover. So that's one place. And MarketWatch is not the only place. You can literally type in IPO calendar and see what else pops up. There's other sites that offer this. But the big thing is the SEC's website to be able to locate all of the IPOs that are releasing all of their documents. So that way you can do your own research. So I'm gonna also paste that inside of the chat box so you can have access to that. It's called Edgar, and it gives you access to all the filings since 2020. So it doesn't go any further back than 2000, not 2020, 2000, the year 2000. So I like to use those in conjunction. Go look at their financials and look at all of their mandated documents, and then being able to put myself in a position. Usually when a stock, an IPO is successful, it's gonna go up in price as soon as it opens, and then it's gonna go down because the company is taking those gains. As long as it's not going down before where the market opened at, it can kind of stabilize and balance out. But if it goes way below what the market's started off at, or if it doesn't go up at all, it just kind of declines, then that can break some confidence in a lot of investors. So if I were to invest, in my thinking, because I haven't invested in IPOs yet, but if I were to invest in IPOs and I see that the company was able to grab the monies that they were able to raise and they kind of balanced out and went back down a little bit to where it opened at, then I'm going to think about investing in it. And especially with a company like Snowflake, it has me thinking that maybe I should have, or maybe I should look into and just continue to watch them. Like I said, they are the only contenders against Amazon. So it is a big IPO for me that I would want to look after. So with that being said, I kind of want to open up the floor because like I said, I know that some of you guys have experience or have utilized IPOs in your investment strategies. So So I kind of want to see what everybody else's thought process, what you guys think. Maybe there was an IPO that you thought that was going to be hot, and then you ended up with FOMO. So I just kind of want to open up, but before we open up to the rest of the people, I want to go to Jayton and Brian. If you guys want to share some of your experiences with IPO or have any comments about IPOs.
Yeah, this is Brian Jayden over there eating. I got
Man, how to grab some.
Get it in.
I bought Snowflake the other day because I know you had been talking about it, and in the Slack channel, I think you posted about Snowflake in our Stock Talk Slack channel. If you guys haven't joined that, yeah, I want to say. What's another one lately? With the whole Tesla going crazy and electric vehicles right now. I know what was that? Was that Nikola?
Yes.
Nikola that people talk about, and their ticker is what, NKLA. Somebody drop it in the chat for those that want to research it. But I know they went pretty crazy earlier this year. I think I made some money on an option trading them. And that's another thing for those, who may not know options, or if you get more comfortable, a company like Snow, I think right now you can't trade options because so many shares of it have to be on the market for so long, and a certain volume has to be met before you can start trading options. But there's another company too that I think slowly coming to the market right now. They're called, what's the company? Hyperion. It's like a trucking company, but they're covered under a shell company right now that's actually called Shell, and their ticker is SHLL, and they're working on coming to the market, but they're getting into like the autonomous electric vehicle game, but for commercial trucking. So that's some of the ones I know of. I've kind of been tracking lately.
Nice. What about you, Jane?
Yeah. I think one of the ones I spoke about last time was Tesla's competitor. They had an IPO, I think that launched, I want to say a couple weeks ago. And they opened up at being like, 20, I think they started off like $20 shares and went up to like 20. Let me see, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I think its high was like $25. And then it literally dropped like 2 days later to like $17. And now right now it's hovering around, $19 and, a quarter. But that's one of the ones I've been kind of like eyeing, because I'm like, okay, this is a competitor to Tesla. When it had an IPO, came up, it made over like $12 billion or some crazy number like that. So I'm like, okay, clearly they, a lot of people want to invest in this company. And so I'm just kind of like still on edge. Like, is it going to go lower? Is it going to go back up? Because if it goes lower, I want to get it at a cheaper price, get like a good 10%, or 20% profit off of it, and then sell it. So that's one of them I'm kind of considering. But I know everybody remember about Snapchat, right? Remember when Snapchat had this big IPO a couple years ago, and everybody was all hyped up about that? Yeah, I was on that hype too. And then my mentor was like, Jay, I don't believe in that model. Like don't invest in it. And I listened to him, and I'm glad I did, because it went down below $10. And it started off, I think, above 20. So yeah, you're right though, Rylan. Like, these IPOs, it's a hit or miss. And what I'm starting to see is a trend. It's like usually, the hype is there, and then it just drops. It's like everybody sells and get that profit. And then, depending on the rest of the year with these reports and stuff, that's when people are like, okay, maybe I can hold on to it or not. But that's just been my experience with IPOs. Long story short, I haven't invested in any of them.
Yeah, you're right. IPOs haven't really been that popular within the last couple of decades. And it wasn't until like the dot-com boom came around where things really started to get hyped up with IPOs. But, more recently in 2019, there was a lot of volatility with IPOs. Either you were making it or you weren't. So yeah, it's really a hit or miss. But I want to open up for everybody else. It's about 7:31. What do we have until 8 o'clock? Is that correct? Okay, we have about 30 minutes, so I want to give you guys about 10, 15 minutes to kind of open up the floor to kind of share your experience with IPOs. And what IPO are you guys watching right now? So anybody want to share?
I think you must be the only IPO guru.
Yeah. Hey, well, I did want to chime in. Hi, this is Sandra Jones.
Hey, Sandra.
And there is an IPO that is coming up on September 21st, and it's GoodRx Holdings. And so and thanks so much for the insight and checking out the SEC website and checking out Edgar there. I have been following that only because I read several articles. You can't go to a doctor's office or a place to pick up a prescription and not see either stacks of the GoodRx cards or, and I'm starting to see more and more people actually use this when I go to the pharmacy. And so I think as a tool to allow patients to save money on their prescriptions, and just even looking at the prices, they are in some cases 50, 60, 75% less expensive than the full price of the prescription itself. And so, and I think given this economy, people will be looking to save money. And so that's why I'm watching that one. I haven't jumped into IPO since the .com boom, and this stock has actually made me consider kind of dipping my toe back in the water.
You know what, Sandra, you bring up a really good IPO to look at. I'm sitting here looking at it. I didn't realize it's kind of low-key hyped right now. It looks like it's one of those underdogs that's kind of coming out of this tech domination, if you will, and it sounds like it's worth following. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And for those who didn't catch that, GoodRx is in the chat. So if you wanted to look into that, feel free. Anybody else want to share? Adrian, I see you have your hand raised.
On accident, I meant to go look at the chat.
Oh, okay, thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else want to share what they're looking at, their experience with IPO? Maybe you have a question.
In general, or just IPO related right now? Is there like a second open session, or
Yeah, you know what? We can go ahead and open it. If not too many people have any questions about IPO, let's open it for other things, for other stocks. Is there anybody looking at any other stocks in the market right now?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I saw Larice earlier. She asked, "What are the qualifications for a firm to obtain an IPO?" Is that answered, or I don't know that question. I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, well, I did go over what the process is. As far as the qualification goes, I think that has a lot to do with how well they perform. So the investment bank would have to kind of decide that. With the tech companies, I know that the tech companies that are evaluating at about $1 billion or over, those are considered like unicorn. But other than that, there are still companies that are able to qualify without being evaluated at $1 billion or more. But I do believe that their earnings needs to be on point. How they are managing, with the different economic indicators. Those are part of the process. They kind of look at the whole company's profile. They look at their age. They're looking at all of that. So it's not really specific to a number. It really comes down to the bones of the company and whether it's worthy of being put into IPO. Because realistically, it's really about the consumers, the ones that are purchasing the shares. They need to be hot enough to get investors. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers that question. Anybody else want to share?
What's been hot right now? Yeah, and any hot stocks for anybody? Any wins? Just open up and talk about any wins. Just any general questions. Rahel, I see you on here, so you must have had some questions. That's why Sarah sent you here. So why did Sarah send you on this call? I'm gonna pick on you because it's I'd pick on Sarah. So
No,
and I like your hat.
well, oh, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for going over all of this information. I am very much a novice when it comes to understanding stocks. I think Sarah was posting a lot on her IG, and so she was the first person that I kind of was like, I need to understand this stuff. So it was really cool being able to connect with someone that's really knowledgeable about this. I guess when understanding IPOs, is there like a good, like what are the kind of like the guidelines, or like what are like some of the first couple of things to look at before investing in a particular IPO?
For me, and this is open for other people as well, I kind of treat a company that's going through the IPO process as any company that I would be investing in. So I'm looking at their fundamentals. And one of the things that I learned from the Wall Street Trapper, because I do follow him, is that you kind of have to not only look at their financial records. So like Snowflake, if you go onto Edgar, you can look at all of their financial records that they posted. So that would be one of the first places to go for the financial reports and things like that, to see if they're financially strong. So looking at how well that they beat their earnings and things like that. But the bigger picture is I'm looking for how well are they handling themselves in the public? How well are they handling themselves when things hit the fan in their company, or if there's an economic indicator like COVID, how are they handling themselves during this time? Because Snowflake has been around for 8 years, and a lot of these companies, sometimes they're really young, and sometimes they have some age behind them. So you do have some room to be able to kind of research and to see if they've been in the news, because I'm almost for certain that they have been in the news before. So I'm looking at, I'm looking at employee reviews. I want to go to like Glassdoor and look at, to see what the employees think about the company. I want to see who the CEO is and look at their LinkedIn profile. And I'm kind of, being stalkerish, because if I'm going to invest in a company, I want to know who I am investing in, especially when it comes to long-term investments and IPO investing. Because if I like Amazon IPO was $13 or $18, and now it's at $3,000. So if I had invested $1,000 back then and held it, that would be $160-something thousand. So I'm looking at long term. So those are kind of the things that I personally would want to look at if I'm going to invest in an IPO.
Yeah, that's super. I mean, those are all really great indicators, and it sounds like there's a lot of initial research that goes into some of that before jumping into. And I guess I think it was someone, I forget who it was, maybe it was Jason, when mentioning Snapchat. That was also kind of an interesting point in there, just in terms of how quickly they digress. But okay, those are the good points. Thank you for sharing that.
Perfect.
Okay. Anybody else? Any just questions, stock talks? Who else we got on here can help us keep the convo going? Emeka, what you been up to, Emeka? What type of, I'm gonna call on you, man. How you been in the market?
I've been fair, I guess. Yeah, just pondering. I mean, I think towards the beginning of the year, my whole thought was what pharmaceutical stocks would take me to my island, or at least to a happy place. I had the thought this morning. I'm like, hey, somebody's gonna have a COVID vaccine, maybe before the end of the year or early year. I have 3 pharmaceutical stocks, so the question is, which one should I really kind of push something into? I was talking to a client today, and he's like, "Hey, if we all knew Tesla, if we all knew Facebook, if, you know, I think it's time for us to change these ifs to something else." So I guess I'm like everyone else, speculative and thinking and thoughtful about, you know, what's next. So that's it for me.
Good. What about you, Sheila? I see you on here. I'll call on you. What brings you to the group? Any questions? Let you know.
Not yet. I mean, I was getting into it, and then I took a break because I needed a break because of COVID. So I took a break from all of the financial and investing stuff, and I saw that you guys had the call, so I wanted, in getting back into Cali life and work and everything else, I wanted to kind of jump back in and continue my learning of stocks and my knowledge base there. So I'm just listening. I'm slowly getting back into it, but just listening.
Welcome back, and we're here to help. So I'll call on. Is that Jaquez or Jaquez? Is that how you pronounce it? Or Jackie? I don't know. Don't kill me on this one. They're on mute still. Or Trayvon, I'll call you. And I think Trayvon, you've been on our call before.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything new. I'm just kind of learning my lessons with the trading late and doing the $2, the stocks that give you $2 every other week. But yeah, I'm just listening today. I don't know what IPO is too.
Now you know. Wait, you said you $2. Who's giving out $2 a week?
I was in Stitch Fix, and that shoots up every other week for some reason. So I just been kind of getting $1 from that every week.
Oh, okay. You got a strategy, roll with it. I'll call on one of our long-term guests, Dudley here. Call on my brother Dudley. What's going on, brother? How's the journey? I know you started to kind of trade a little bit more. You still on mute? He might be in transit or something.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
So, with everybody, like before last week, everything was going smooth. Then the whole unemployment report came out and everything plummeted. So I'm just waiting to see what the next thing is. And I really need to be doing some more research as far as finding other stocks. So that's where I am right now, just at a neutral point at the moment.
I'll say, I think, I mean, this August was kind of a tricky month. And, going into September, I think a lot of traders I see have been kind of hesitant. I think the first week or two of the month did well. And then we've kind of just been ups and lows, highs and lows. I know in that Todd Capital group that we're in, Ryland, a lot of the main admins, they're talking about quad witching. They're also talking about end of the year sell-off. So, around this time, you start to see a lot of big investment companies and things like that start to sell off stocks and things like that because they prepare for taxes and things like that to take losses, take gains and things like that. So I'm seeing a lot of people that trade a little bit more frequently talk about just doing research, just education. A lot of people are doing option positions out into next year now and things like that. So this is a really good time to kind of slow down, take a look at, portfolios and just different strategies. I think along the way, like Emeka is saying though too, they're pushing. I seen an article today that, I don't know if you guys saw that President Trump mentioned that he's ready, right? That he wants to release some vaccines and things like that. So I think we're going to see some activity on the, on that front coming up as well. I think that's where we'll probably have the most activity running out to the end of the year. I think a lot of people are keeping an eye on that around the election as well. So
I'm waiting to see how the election affects everything. But I had a quick question for you, Beware. So when it comes to options, so if I'm looking at a stock and that stock costs $200, does that mean the option is going to cost 10 times 200?
Ryland, I'm gonna give it to Rylan.
I'm not an expert, Dudley, so let me just put that out there. But from my understanding, no, absolutely not. It does. So when you do buy an option, one contract is worth 100 shares, but it's not at the market price point, and that's
Okay.
the beauty of options. Yeah, it's at a different price point.
Okay.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I call it like glorified, maybe like side betting or something. You know, just kind of side bets, like you're just putting a value on, you know, something's gonna go up or go down, you know, and what's it worth to you, right? Or to
Right.
someone else. Somebody may say it's worth $1 that this goes up and hits this price point in 2 weeks, you know, and then somebody, as it gets closer to that price point in 2 weeks and enough people have interest in that stock getting to that price point, then somebody else will say, look, I'll pay $2 for that price point for that contract. You know, it's basically, you know, in layman's terms, how an options work. So if you were the first person to get in on it and say, I thought at $1, you know, it was worth about $1 to me to side bet it, and somebody else is like, I'll pay you $2 for it. Now you made $1, right? So
Right.
that's times 100 though, right? So you have to
So
think like $1 times 100. So it's really $100.
So do I sell it do I sell it as if I'm selling an option? Is that how it works? If I'm purchasing an option, do I sell it like I'm selling a stock? That's what I meant to say.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
you just like on Robinhood, most of us use Robinhood. You can go in
Right,
there.
right.
You can set your limit terms just like you can with your stocks and things like that. So yeah, and that's basically how, and that's why it's like an exponential process when you trade, because it's really only, you know, it's worth $1 the contract, but it's times 100, so it's $100. So you can make you can make $100 in that exchange, right? If you bought it for $100 or $1 per contract, and you sold it for $2 a contract, which is $200, then you made your $100 profit.
Right.
So,
okay.
About that, real quick, since I talked about stops and limits, is anybody familiar or not familiar? Does anybody implement, you know, trading with, you know, stop limits and things like that? I know Rylan does, so I want her to explain it, but
I actually don't. I don't.
You don't? Oh,
no.
You all west.
No, I'm active because, you know, well, at first it was only because I wanted to qualify it as a trader through the IRS, but I could care less. I'm just going to create an LLC and trade through my LLC. But when you don't put stops and stuff like that, it counts your trades differently. So I really just don't do it.
Okay, then. Well, what I was alluding to then, since she's just trading day in and day out. For those that maybe don't have time to watch the market every day, I see Kevin on here. I know Kevin probably knows, but and I'll call on you next. It's a good way to buy a stock, and if you just say, you know, I always suggest, and I've read, you know, if you can, you know, set percentage goals, right? You say, I want to sell or I want to make a 20% profit, whether it's on a certain stock, whether it's over a year, whether it's over 2 months, 2 weeks, right? So now you have a goal you want to hit. So you say, okay, if I bought this stock at $100, I want to sell it when it goes up 20%, so 120. So you can set a limit price and say at 120, it'll trigger a sale for that stock. And in like Robinhood, you can make that option good and for a certain amount of time. You can either make it good for that day or you can make it good for the end of the year. So, and then a stop trade is when you set the price, basically the bottom. So think the limit is the top of where you want to sell it and the bottom is where you want to sell it. So as a stop. So a stop trade is when you buy the stock and you say, I don't want to lose more than 20%. So now you're going to say, if this stock drops to $80 a share, it's going to trigger a sale, and I only lost 20% of my investment. So I've been using that a lot more because one time I got too greedy and let a stock get out and I lost the money. It was up like $600. And I was like, I was feeling myself, y'all. I screenshotted it, sent it to my homies in the group chat. And I'm like, oh man, Microsoft is killing for me, right? I was talking all this mess. and forgot to sell the stock and came and turned back around and looked and it dipped on me, dropped. I think I ended up losing like $300 on the stock, right? So, yeah, that's why my lesson learned, right? I see all y'all laughing. My lesson learned is to, set stop limits at the bottom, stop, and then limit trading is basically, I think limit is what it's called, is at the peak. And then you can even do like stop limits where if it gets a little more complex, where it's basically you're setting a limit between both. But the easiest thing is if you feel like, it's going to go down, make sure it doesn't go past a certain percentage. And same thing. And you can do the same thing with options as well. I do it a lot of options because they move a lot quicker. So, Kev, what's going on, man? You got anything to add with stops and loss and limits or anything else, just stock wise?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, what you explained with stops and limits and all of that is pretty much, yeah. I mean, I couldn't explain it any better. I guess for me with stocks, I'm kind of a buy and hold. Like I have, like typically with all the stocks I purchase, like I have a timeline of a minimum of 3 years. So if like for example, I bought Cisco and it was going up, and then Cisco came out with a bad report in the third quarter review was bad, but underlying they still have solid fundamentals from like a financial standpoint. They took a revenue hit. Their projections for the rest of 2020 into 2021 was hit from just from COVID. But because they're strong balance sheets, they have a lot of cash, they still pay their dividend. They didn't cut their dividend. I decided to hold the stock, and then I essentially bought it up just a certain amount, just a handful of shares. And when it dropped, I didn't sell just because ultimately a lot of times, based on your time horizon, the stock companies go in different cycles on their revenue and stock going up and stock going down. So I'm not so much of a trader, more of a buy and hold. I kind of observe a stock, watch it over a couple months, look at what it's done, look at the revenue, news, all that type of stuff. And then if I see it's going to hit, hey, it's going to get to a price appreciation, or the dividends are in line, like the financial return I'm looking for, that's when I do my purchase. And then I just either, if I'm going to hold the position, then I hold and I don't buy any more, whether it goes up or down, irrelevant. Because usually if I'm buying a stock like that, it's paying out dividends. Like Cisco's dividend, I think it's not in front of me, but I think it's like anywhere from 3 to 5%, somewhere like that, dividend. And so, and then same thing with like IBM. IBM has been like a contrarian stock. The market was down, S&P was down, I think about 0.5% today or so. And then IBM was actually up. So a lot of what I do is more just kind of observation and looking at, and IBM, their dividend is about 5%. So kind of dividend, focus on dividend investing. And then I have a part of my portfolio that's invested in some tech ETFs and stuff. So that's kind of what I do with my investing. I'm not more buy and hold for the long term than trading frequently.
Okay, so if you want to play it safe, you got to holler at Kevin. Kev's the safe investor right there. That's a good model to follow. Ursula, I see you on. You've been rolling with us this week so far. Just keep the energy going. You were on the Mega Mastermind call with us earlier this week, and glad to have you back. How any stock questions, comments, what you've been working on in the market?
Yeah, I basically just wanted to hear about IPOs and learn. I'm also, I guess I consider myself a novice, although I've had stock for, I guess, a while, but it's been instead of buying individual stocks, I tend to look for something safer, something that I don't have to watch as much. And so along the lines of mutual funds, I have a real estate investment trust fund, and I've got I've got individual stock as well. So I did purchased some of the Apple stock when it split. I wish that I had waited a little bit, but I did do that. I have some older stock. I'm more of a buy and hold. So I've got like Procter and Gamble, and I've got Amazon, but I don't do too much. And I think it's probably because I am not always overly confident that I'd make a good decision. So like Rylan, I listen to the Wall Street Trapper. I love how he explains things. He boils it down and makes it super simple and plain. And from listening to him, I understand how to look at things like the fundamentals. Because prior to that, I would just purchase the stock if I felt like something was going on in the news, and I had a gut feeling that the stock would do well. Like, for example, I bought CVS a while back because they merged with Aetna. And I thought, oh, well, yeah, that's a wonderful idea. And that wasn't as I look back on it, that probably wasn't the best decision to make. Another thing that I did was I bought some Canopy stock because I just knew that the federal government would eventually, I don't know why, but I just felt like the federal government would legalize cannabis. Because at the time it was being legalized in in several states. And even though Canopy is in Canada, I was just looking at the popularity of it. And I was also looking at things like urban farming and just farming in general and how more people are doing it. And I felt like, okay, well, they also make products that help people grow, farm, grow food. And I realized that probably wasn't the best decision either. So it's like I was making these decisions based off of my hunches and my intuition rather than looking at the numbers, rather than going to the SEC.org and looking at the organization. I was just reading news articles. I wasn't really digging into the financials. And so that is something that I'm trying to do more of. I don't have my eyes on anything in particular right now. I'm just looking at companies and playing around with numbers. I'm also playing the game. I think it's on Investopedia, so I'm playing that game as well, just to get comfortable. But other than that, that's it. I'm just trying to learn. And then the next thing I do want to learn is options. That seems interesting. I listened to Mark Monroe. He does an options. He talks about options. I think he does. He's got a YouTube channel. I think he does 1 or 2 a week. I also listen to Earn Your Leisure, Market Mondays as well. So I think I'm just in learning mode before I do anything outside of like a mutual fund or an index fund.
Okay, Dr. Wright. Well, speaking of the game, that was a perfect transition. I actually just brought up the game. So for those of you guys who may or may not know or new to the chat, we've been keeping a monthly stock talk game going. So for those of you guys who are novices, getting your feet wet, just kind of want to learn and try some things out, this is just a great way. We're starting out with $1,000 a month of virtual, money, and the goal is to see who can have the best portfolio at the end of the month. So last month's winner was Brian Hayes, and he won a month subscription to the Todd Capital Slack option channel, or he was also given the option of $20 worth of stock through Stockpile. You can do a gift card. So Dr. Wright, I like the portfolio here. I mean, this is like a novice advanced types of moves though. So I definitely see that you are, investing in some solid corporations here. NVIDIA has been doing great. PG&E, I know with the fires up there, they're probably catching flack, but at the same time, that's really low for a utility company, and they're still kind of, coming out of their bankruptcy. So that's, you know, that's a value stock to me. And then I see you, you know, invested in Apple here. So just so you guys see it on the screen. So here's the rankings. Of course, I'm in first, you know, and everybody else is just trying to catch up. But, you know, Mecca might, you know, Mecca, I'm back on you again this time. So, but, you know, it's a great opportunity if you guys want to just see other people's portfolios and see what other people are trading. Adrian, I see you're in here. You must have traded a quick stock or something because you made some money here. But yeah, stay tuned. If you guys want to join the game, you guys can, you know, go to Investopedia and then go to the simulator. You can sign up to join, or you can sign up and then go to like join a game. Just sharing the screen here. It's a very easy process, and then you can type in Stock Talk, just like this. Do a screen, do a start the search. I hope it works for me. There you go, Stock Talk. It pops up there. You can join right in the game and start trading. You know, even if you can come in late, even though we started, it's okay. You know, the goal is just to get you guys experience and just kind of take off the training wheels and then let you make some risky moves, you know, along the way. So I think for me, let me see what I've done so my quick trade, and the reason why I'm up right now, and this is from that I actually just mimicked the trade from the Todd Capital Group. So they give you a lot of different option plays. Now you should always do your own research or whatnot, but earlier talking about medical stocks that are involved in like the COVID testing. I don't know if you guys have heard of what's the official name for INO? Does anybody know? In Vivo, isn't that it? I think it's in Vivo.
It's Inovio. I actually bought that one a couple months ago.
Inovio. Yeah, you made some money on that, right, Emeka? I think that was one of the stocks you said you kind of hit on early on.
My first stock was Trevina, and that did great for me.
Oh, okay.
So Trevina, Inovio, I.B.E.L.L, those are all medical, I believe.
Okay. Awesome. And, you know, Dudley, for example, we talked about the option contract. So perfect example here. I bought the option at $1.54. So, you know, times two, I bought two contracts. So it was $154 times two, it's 308. And then when I sold the contract, it was at 190. Once again, I kind of waited too long because it was up to like 212. So that would have been $424 prop, you know, so do the math there. I would have walked away with, you know, $100-some of profit there, but instead I walked away with about $72 in profit. But, you know, that's the thing about options. They move a lot quicker. And this was all done in the same day, as you see. I started the contract at 10:54 and I turned around and sold it at 103. So in 2 hours, I made almost $100 trading the option. So I'm not saying options are the only way to go or anything like that, but just, you know, real life example of, you know, what we're trying to do, how you can kind of test strategies out and do all that. So.
Hey, Brian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So when you do that in the same day, do they treat options the way they treat day trading for stocks?
And what does that mean?
So when it comes to day trading,
yes.
If you don't have 10 grand in your account, they count how many times there's a limit on how many times you can buy and sell that same stock in one day.
Oh, yeah, I think they do.
It's 25,000 for us.
It's it's 25,000 for options.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
And you're limited to 3 days, but on the fourth day, if you trade on that fourth day within that 5-day period, then they'll just suspend you for 90 days. So you really only have 3-day trades every 5-day period.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. And that's why limits and losses and stop trades are cool too. Because if you don't got the time, or I mean, obviously, if it happens in the day, it happens within that day. But you know, sometimes I'll make a trade or like at the end of the day, or like, you know, late in the day, and then I'll set my limit or my stop for like the next day. I'll do it at the end of the market. So technically, it's really for the next day. So just a little trick that I've been using with that.
Can
Go ahead.
for those stops. So when I've done it on Robinhood, it'll do it. It'll keep it for like that day. Is there a way for you to set it where no matter what day it happens, if the price falls below a certain threshold, it'll sell it? Or do you have to get up and set it every day?
No, they give you an option. I think maybe if you're on the gold account though, that's maybe the reason why. Are you on the gold account?
Of course not.
Oh, okay. Well, I think if you're gold, you can do that. You can set an extended time frame for your trade, and you can do like extended trading. Like, so you can trade like before the market opens, and then I think they give you that option to set your stop at a longer time or your limit.
So what's the benefits of having a gold versus the regular account? What I'm asking, do you have to pay to have the gold account?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And you have to have like at least $2,000 in your account. Well, I don't think you have to, but to like really unlock the gold, it's like a 2-part kind of system. But you have to pay first, and then to like trade on margin and do things, you have to have at least like 2,000 in your account.
How much do you have to pay?
I'm sorry, what's that?
How much do you have to pay?
That's the payment right there. So you have to have the 2,000 in your account in order for you to qualify.
For the gold, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have 2,000 in your account, that's it.
That's it. I mean, my bad. I mean, it ain't it for everybody, but I worked hard for that 2,000.
You said 2, not 3, right?
Yeah, just 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, shoot.
All right, we're about kind of at our hour mark, so we'll start to slowly transition and wrap it up. I wanted to show Miss Ryland's portfolio real quick, and then you can talk a little bit to your plays right here, and then if you want to kind of do your how can people get in contact with you and what you're working on, and then we'll do like our last minute closeout. So.
Okay, so for the stock game, I chose JETS, which is an ETF for airlines or companies that have that are in industries that deal with the airlines. And at the time when I got this, it was actually really fluctuating because I had went up to about $22 at the time, but I didn't sell off because, to be honest, I forgot that I was in this, I was in the play on here, so I forgot to go back in here and sell it. So I'm gonna wait until the last week of September to make any moves right now, because tomorrow is quad witching, which is when all indexes expire all at the same time. So there's a lot of dumping going on right now. And then I also invested in Marvel. Marvel is a computer chip company, and I grabbed them because I know that Apple is going to be releasing their products, and so so I'm hoping that will kind of move after this week a little bit more. So I'm gonna wait until next week to decide to sell things off. But that was kind of like my thinking. Jets is kind of a long-term thing for me, so I actually have positions in that. Actually, I have positions in both of them. So so yeah, those are kind of live for me right now. So to move on, as we are closing out, I kind of wanted to share with you guys that I created, as a beginner options trader, I got clapped a lot of different times from greed. So Brian, I'm right there with you. The last quad witching, which was in June, I got clapped. I made 10,000 and lost like 5 of that because I didn't understand that I needed to take profit. So throughout that time, I really was focused on managing my emotions, and I created a little worksheet to kind of help me focus on planning my trades and then trading my plans, because that's really what's going to keep you from being so emotional when you're trading, right? So I created an options journal to kind of help me, but not just me. I wanted to help other beginner options traders to kind of beat FOMO, fear of missing out. So I'm going to put the link, the Amazon link, inside of the chat box. It's called Dream Farmers Options Trading Journal. And it just has a couple of quick guides that are in there to kind of keep you focused on not being greedy, taking profit when you need to, setting your trade plan. There's 50 different sections where you can record your trades. And after every 5 trades, there's a space for you to kind of go back and learn from those trades. So it's really something for you to help build the discipline that you need, instead of, being on your phone. Because when you're on your phone, things happen like that, right? And you can be emotional and say, oh, let me hop into this call real quick. But if you actually take the time to create a watch list, and then, write out your trade, so that way you're not trying to rush to get into a trade. Really write it out and look at, what's your entry point, what's your target entry points and target exit points, things like that. So it's really just to help beginner options traders. So, if it's something that can help you, don't hesitate to get it. It's only like $14, $15. But like I said, it's helped me tremendously. That's why I kind of took a break. I have my long-term positions right now with options, but right now I'm simply just studying, observing, and making sure that my next plan when I trade is going to be, on point and up to par based off of what I have studied and not what everybody else is studying for me. So there's that. And then also, if you want to learn more learn how to trade options by someone who's actually licensed, I do sell Todd Capital's course through my website. So if you want to go to dreamfarmer.org, I'm going to put that link inside of the chat box. I have the link to his course over there. And for those who are past the beginner stage, if you want to learn advanced options, there is an advanced course that is in there as well. So that's it coming from me. Thank you guys for listening to me on IPOs. I'm going to pass it back to Brian to go ahead and close this out.
Thank you. And you're so humble. I'll say, you speak as if you've been doing this for tens and tens of years, but I know, you're a mompreneur, and I know you're a new mother, and this is like a hustle for you, right? I mean, the book is everything that you've taken on in I'd say the last year or so. Do you want to just kind of tell that story real quick? I know we have a few other mompreneurs in here, so I think it's important to just let them know you were just there and you're hustling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I started my business before I got pregnant, and then I had to put my business on hold for a couple of years. And so it wasn't until this year that I got laid off from my actual job because I was training Microsoft software. And I was like, you know what, I need to get this business back and going. Let me just, get it running. So I started developing tools. Until I get my content down, I started developing tools for entrepreneurs. So I created an idea tracker where people can write and record all of their ideas in one central location. It's a journal. This is it right here. So you can actually get this on Amazon too. So I created this. I also created a lessons learned journal for professionals to record their lessons learned in the workplace, especially for us who are people of color. We go through a lot of discrimination and racism inside of the workplace. So it's just a means for you to kind of reflect on your learning and to record that, to actually give to your own offsprings or whoever you're mentoring, to show that, these are the lessons that I've learned throughout my work career. So I've always been just about creating tools. How can I, help professionals become more entrepreneurial? So everything that I create is surrounded by that, is how can I help you become more entrepreneurial as a professional? No pressure to create a business, no pressure to invest, no pressure to do anything. Just use one of your ideas and make money for yourself. So that's really the goal of Dream Farmer. And that's kind of just where I come from. So, this is every day, all day, every day. This is what I'm doing, is helping professionals.
Thank you. Well, and if anybody ever has questions about ebooks and, just really getting that process off the ground, I'll also use her as a resource as well. I'm sure she'd be happy to help.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Net over there. Give a shout out. She's one of our B.E.L.L board members, advisors. She's a real estate agent learning about stocks herself. So thank you for joining and supporting the cause. Our intern, we also have brought on an intern for the group. He's a high school student. Young man, plays football. Mr. Ezekiel down there. Zeke's on the call. He's you 16, Zeke? You on?
Yeah, I just turned 16.
Just turned 16, and he's really interested in learning about stocks and entrepreneurship. Recently just met him through the Blue Heart Foundation. It's an organization that mentors young Black men from the community. And he showed interest in learning about stock, about business. He has an interest in being an engineer. So, I just want you guys to know that you know, everybody participating, it's all a network, and that pipeline is continuously growing. So, you know, thank you everybody for participating and adding value for him as well and yourselves. Lamar, I see you on the call. You got anything to add stock wise before we wrap it up? Questions?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay. All right. It's my cousin Lamar hanging out and learning. He's a trader. He's quiet, but he's giving me some good stocks and things like that, and we talk that. But yeah, I mean, anybody else? Any last announcements? Anybody wants a quick shout out or anything before we go?
I have something real quick for those who want to rewatch the Stock Talk or the previous Stock Talks that have been placed. I put the link, the YouTube link, inside of the chat box. So go ahead and click on that, subscribe to it. But all of the Stock Talks are recorded and they are placed on the YouTube link. So I would say within the next 24 to 48 hours, you'll see this one on the YouTube link. So
shout out. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So if you want to go back and review something, definitely just check out that link there and just catch up. We have the different subjects of what we've talked about. I mean, we started back in, what has it been, Jay? We started back in June or May or so.
For which one?
For the Stock Talk. How long we been
Oh,
doing?
man, we started back in March.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Right when COVID happened, that's when we started literally talking.
Talking, yeah. So definitely check it out. We talk about a lot of different topics and things like that. So Rahel, thank you for joining. Shout out to Sarah. And are you up in Washington? Are you UW? Are you a former UW individual as well?
No, I actually went to Shoreline.
Okay.
Yeah, but in Washington.
Okay, nice. Miss Larice, thank you for calling in. I didn't get a chance to call on you, but you've been asking good questions.
That's what I'm talking about.
You on mute, I think. Miss Larice, she's still on mute. Here, we got the, I'm gonna see if there you go.
Right. Yes, I'll keep asking questions to make sure people understand what's going on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, with that said, without further ado, you know, you guys feel free to sign off, join the game. You saw how easy it was, and we'll go from there. My other phone tried to die on me. My computer tried to die on me, but anyway, yeah. Thank you guys. Good luck. Join the game. I need some competition. I need somebody to beat me.
be careful what you ask for.
Oh man, yeah. Let's go. So
Hey,
Brian.
Yes, sir.
Get Zeke into coding so he can work from home.
Oh, I know, right? Zeke got to learn how to do some coding, make some money. It's a process. We just started with him, man. We can't burn him out just yet, man. I told him he got to get good grades still. You know, he got to make sure he take care of the first part. But
y'all have a good night.
Yeah, everybody have a good evening. Be safe. Stay healthy. We'll see y'all next month. Thank you to our
Bye,
guests.
guys.
All right. Bye, Miss Louise. All right, Mecca. Good seeing you again. Hope all is well. Miss Ursula, thank you. Trevon, thank you guys. Derek, Mac, man, Kev, I see you guys.
Go ahead and stop.
See you later, man.
All right, man.
Stop the recording now.
Stop the recording.